We're talking to Greg Apps and Robyn Gibbes, and now Matthew, you had some questions you'd like to ask.
Yeah, hi guys, and nice to finally chat to you.
Hey.
Just on what you guys had to say on speaking on YouTube and social media and posting and sharing it all over there. I used to do a bit of vlogging when I traveled, and a lot of what you said made a lot of sense. My real question of what you guys had to say is, what do you think about people staying in that area instead of pushing on to the more commercial side, or do you see that there's a good possibility if people just stayed in that area and didn't push past that as as sort of an introduction to the industry?
Look, it's where you want to be. It's where your ambition, your passion, your energy takes you, I would suggest.
There's a market for both, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It is. It's quite interesting how it's becoming more commercialized at the moment. There have been quite a few people that started there and then moved over, but then there are other people that have stayed. But do you think it's
I know a lot of our students all started with the commercial side in mind, and then having done our courses, they have found out and realised that there's more to just trying to be on television or doing a feature film. And so many of them have gone on to create their own YouTube series and won awards for them, and they're being recognised worldwide as a result of that. So
I think, yes, as Robbie says, I think you can move between the two. The YouTuber Natalie Tran comes to mind, that she just started sort of, just being a kind of a young teenager, sort of doing things and sort of having a chat and talking about issues that affected her demographic. And now she's been moving between YouTube and the kind of, and the normal, or traditional media. And I think, as Robbie says, it's kind of, you're able to sort of move between the both these days.
A student of ours, Cam Paul, he started doing a play called Swipe Right, and having done our course, he realised, this could actually become a little web series. So as a result, he made it into a web series. He wrote it, directed it, and performed it himself. He's taken it overseas. He's won numerous awards overseas, and now he's doing the second series, which is fully financed.
Wow. So there's quite a big hole that needs to be filled over there from what you guys are saying. Now, there are quite a few different routes you can go. There's Instagram TV, which didn't take off very well. There's YouTube, and YouTube only promotes you if your videos are 10 minutes or longer. So you're sort of expected to push a bit further. You've got the other guys, I don't know if you've seen them, two Australian lads, Fairbairn Films. They do short skits of about 50 seconds to 2.5 minutes of just, day-to-day life of growing up as a teenager in Australia. And they've got, hundreds of millions of views, and they've got a tour around Australia, even running at the moment. Which platform do you think they should focus on if they do want to move into the commercial industry one day?
Oh, that's a really tough one.
I think that's above my station.
Yeah, that's above our pay grade.
Yeah, I think so. Ask Brenton's stepdaughter. She follows TikTok. She'll know which platform to use.
I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I'm going to put that to my grad.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to know. Yeah.
But YouTube has the profile, has the is very easily accessed. It's interesting you say they don't push videos under 10 minutes. I wasn't aware of that but it's kind of like, go where once you develop or have the idea for what sort of character or what sort of content that you want to create, then the platform will become apparent. Really interesting. I can't remember her name, but it's Sarah something, who on TikTok was the one who mimics the kind of all the Donald Trump speeches, and that just suited TikTok. And she didn't use the whole speech.
Yes,
she just used a little grab of it. She wanted to keep it under 60 seconds, and that just suited that platform, that content, that performance, and she's become
suited her.
She's had a global profile
as a result of it.
As a result, and she's doing nothing herself except for miming to Donald Trump's speeches.
Wow. So, should they aim to create YouTube channels, TikTok pages? Do you think that may become like the new CV of the actor in the future? You know, where you send forward what you're going to do through that. You say, well, please look at this and see if I'm what you're looking for. Or do you still think there's going to be a big need to sort of, you know, audition for everything face to face or online for your specific role?
No, it's definitely a dying art to audition face to face. Online, as in self-tape, are the way of the future, very definitely. But I think so many people don't get the fact that it's the digital age. Things have changed. They can create, actors now can create their own work very, very simply. And it's not necessarily through YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. It's about creating your own work, be it a series, be it a little feature film, whatever it is, and put it online.
Wow.
Many years ago, you heard the stories about, you know, the young kids who used to just perform for mum and dad or perform for their aunties or something like that, because that was the audience they had access to. The digital age gives everybody access to a much broader audience, as you mentioned, Matthew, the two guys that sort of do sketches and sort of now have a global reach as a result of that, and as does Natalie Tran. And as a result, because I've had 2 or 3 projects, when you make a suggestion of Natalie Tran as sort of somebody that's suitable, the producers love it because they think it's going to give them access to this sort of, you know, massive audience, this massive global audience of that age group, that teenage age group.
And that touches on another thing. More and more producers are asking us, so what sort of following do they have? And unfortunately, that is becoming more and more of the norm, where it's not to say that a great actor will not get the role, but it is becoming a major consideration for producers because it means that it opens up their film to an immediate audience. If someone has, you know, 250,000 followers, then it immediately, if you put that person in your film, you immediately have that opening.
So it's quite interesting that you say that. Coming back to, you know, do people need to go and study at an institution to go and learn how to be an actor? You guys have put forward quite a strong case as to why you need to spend time building a following, developing your character, you know, online, you know, developing the personality there. But and producers are asking you, you know, what following do these people have, say, when you refer somebody or put somebody forward? Are universities teaching, I have a background in marketing, so I understand this, but are universities teaching their students how to generate a following? Are they teaching them that this is actually important in the industry?
Matt, that is such a great question. And unfortunately, no, they are not, because it's not just Australia. I think our industry is caught in the way we used to produce, the way we used to cast. So many people will constantly say to me, how should I do my CV? What should my 10 by 8 look like? That's not how we cast anymore. It's a new world, guys. We don't do 10 by 8. We don't do resumes. It's self-tape. You don't send your 10 by 8, your black and white 10 by 8 casting directors anymore. They don't have the space to store it. They don't have the time to open envelopes and to look at it and to look at your resume. They want to look at their computer and to see what sort of personality, what sort of character you can portray in 2 or 3 minutes. That's it. They're on to the next.
Our thinking is that sort of, at the moment, when we send out a breakdown, a kind of a character breakdown for a project to the agent, everybody is submitted with an actor head, with the 10x8, the actor headshot, as Robbie says, and their resume, a photo on a resume. I think very soon, it's within the next sort of 3 to 5 years, that the first pitch that an actor or an agent makes to a casting director is a 20-second improvisation of that character.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to produce.
Yeah.
More importantly, 10 years ago, the size of a file, a digital file that sort of was somebody acting or performing, was enormous and couldn't be kind of shared. These days, a 20-second video file can be reduced down without losing kind of, quality.
And anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it and can do it overnight. And so therefore I believe in the future it's going to be the first cull, the first submission of actors is going to be a 20-second improvisation.
Wow.
So we used to do, just as an example, back in the 80s, we used to do go-sees. So we'd set a day aside and a casting director from our office would sit down and have a day of go-sees. All the people they hadn't met, everyone from all the agents that the agents wanted us to see, they'd send them in and we'd have a day of go-sees. We were absolutely square-eyed by the end of the day, as you can imagine. But we don't do that anymore. We don't need to do that anymore because we have the digital age. And that's what we, in our teaching, try to inspire our students to get in front of a camera and show us what you can do. And as Greg said, put down just a 30-second, 60-second little improv and just send that off. And you never know. That casting director will look at it and go, wow, I'm casting that character right now. I want to see that person. Here's a script.
I think also, but just to go back to your question, Matthew, was where are the universities teaching that? Where are the kind of institutions teaching that? It's a new medium.
Yeah.
It's new media. It's kind of like, I don't think there's experts there that have the skills
that
to
understand.
Teach it. Not yet. Maybe in 10 or 20 years.
Or that understand.
Yeah. But because in terms of us embracing an acting career that starts with the digital platform, that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
It's like most people are still in the kind of the 20th century, dare I say.
And there's a lot
The
to
10
it.
by 8, black and white 10 by 8 red.
Yeah. There's a lot to it as well where, there's the online aspect and how do you engage with your audience, keeping up with them, creating consistency, with your character and with your rate at which you communicate with your audience. The other aspect that I wonder if you guys could comment as well is that, I having done YouTube, I learned that a lot of it has to do with things like sound design, how to use a camera, how to get the shutter speed right, the focal length and what effect that has on you. Are they only teaching the acting aspects, and then at the same time, if somebody takes a video on their phone, and sends it, we all know what phone footage looks like, but if I say shot mine with my camera and my special lenses and I did all the editing and all that, there's a big difference between what comes out on the other side.
Absolutely. Not only that, of course, you don't shoot in portrait, you shoot in landscape. There are various things, and if the casting director gets a video in portrait, they won't look at it. It's just
it annoys me when I get self-tapes like that.
Please don't do that. But so many people don't understand that. It's also the compressing of files, and there's so much to it, and there is a lot more as a result of that. Matthew, as you absolutely rightly said, there is so much more responsibility put on the actor for that reason, because they not only have to be an actor as such and deliver their best performance, but they also have to have basic technical skills and understand how it is therefore delivered to the casting director and what the casting director wants to see.
Robbie's right in saying it's basic technical skills, I think. Because, if you have somebody who has every shot, every angle, every edit, every lighting is perfect and all that kind of thing, it still comes down to how interesting is the performance. And so, therefore, what I'm suggesting is, or what we've found, is the fact that when somebody is engaging and interesting, you can see through bad photography. You can see through that.
Bad lighting.
But they have to be even better. But a good performance will cut through bad technical skills.
That's very, very interesting. Well, also what you were saying earlier with the social media and managing that, if you hit it big in Hollywood or you hit it big on YouTube, you've got to do that anyway. You look at all our big celebrities, they probably have a media team behind them anyway. But they need to be present online the whole time. You need to make sure that you're in front of them. So whether they say, this is relevant or it's irrelevant, in actual fact, you need to be able to do that anyway. And it's not, having studied marketing and having done it already, it's not that easy. Like even at the moment, I'm busy doing a master's in teaching at the moment, and I spoke at a Google conference about digital citizenship. And just the things that people don't know about, the repercussions of, making a mistake online, or the repercussions of, digital etiquette. All of these things need to be taught, especially if you're going to generate 250,000 followers. I think based on this, the industry is about to change severely.
It is. It's changing now. It's changing now. We were, you probably don't know, we were the first ones in the world to teach online self-taping.
Wow.
And when we first started, that was only 9 years ago now.
Yeah.
9 years ago. And when we first started, we got so much flack because actors just didn't understand the responsibility that is now put on the actor, but also the opportunity that is given to the actor.
Yeah.
Self-taping is the most wonderful thing for an actor, and actors, old school actors, tend to run away from it because they don't understand it and they don't know how to use it for their benefit. But it's all the young actors, of course, who have got onto it, and they're kicking huge goals. But it's the older actors that are just slower on the uptake.
And I think also the point to make is it was going along at its own pace. This kind of the digital, the uptake of digital platforms.
And then COVID.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's actually the
put
perfect.
A rocket up it. I've just cast a Netflix film that's shot in Sydney, starring Elsa Pataki and Luke Bracey, and I did not meet any actor whatsoever face to face. It is common now that you can cast an entire movie and never be face to face with any of the actors.
We're just doing a Disney series at the moment, and we're not meeting anyone. It's all self-tape.
But and you mentioned COVID. Yes, this is the way we've adapted to the situation by presenting our auditions by self-tape now. It's a I see so many people saying, "Oh, can I send a self-tape in?" Yeah, no worries. There is one thing that annoys me with self-tapes, and that's if the actor is sitting there with the script in their hand and reading from the script. Something I teach my students is if you're going to do a self-tape, stick the side up on the wall next to the camera. Have the camera against the wall facing out from the wall. Stick the side next to it if you have to read from the script, so you can see the script. Or memorize the line so you don't have to actually do that. But the beauty with a self...
Brenton.
No?
I think we're on
different plans there.
We're on different waves, this one. With us, we believe the script doesn't create the character. We don't believe the writer owns the character. We believe the actor.
The actor owns the
character. I agree with you, but if I had...
So don't have the script in front of you. Don't read it. That just ties you into...
I'd prefer them not to be reading the script at all. But if they have to, this is my point. I had I put Dracula on community theatre production of Dracula earlier this year, and when I was casting that, I had 3 self tapes three self-tapes sent to me, and two of them were reading the script, and the other one was off script and was having an absolute ball. He's the one who ended up getting the role, but it's really horrible when you see them and they're just staring at the page and they're just reading lines, and it's like, I don't see.
Absolutely, if what they're delivering is not a character, what they're delivering is a tape of watching somebody read a page. That there's a big difference. They must deliver a character. They must but what we suggest is that sort of, or the kind of the process we take is make sure the character is the most important thing we see on the frame. And if you do that, now suddenly you use the what they call the sides, the pages. You use that as a prop, and now suddenly you use it as something that is part of the character, rather than something that is stopping the engagement between the character and the person watching the tape.
Yeah.
So I understand entirely what you're saying in respect of sort of, if you see people who are, well, in effect, what those actors are doing is they are absolutely focused on making sure they get the dialogue right. And the dialogue's not the important thing.
It's not. It's not. And as a director myself, I don't, I haven't memorized this, the script that they're reading from or presenting to me, whatever. You know where I'm trying to come from. I look at the characters, I look at their presentation and how well they present themselves and how well they present that character and what they can do, what they're going to bring to the role. That's what I look for. But if they're just going to sit there with it, if they're concentrating on their lines, and they're reading from a script, they've got the script in their hand, and all they're doing is looking straight at the paper and reading. That really annoys me. And I would, if they've got to do that, I'd much rather the script not be on the camera. I'd much rather it be next to the camera while they're performing, because I believe if they've got their hands empty and they're looking towards the camera and they're actually, they have a better chance to get into a character. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And
provided they don't give priority to getting those lines right that are on the page, whether the page is in their hand or stuck on the wall next to the camera. It's like, that's not the priority.
Exactly.
Dialogue is not the priority. It's the character.
And I say this to actors who I'm working with as well. Because we're doing a stage play at the moment, Wait Until Dark. We're directing that. I'm directing that at the moment. We're halfway through rehearsal schedule, and I've said to them, don't concentrate so much on the dialogue. Concentrate on the character. I want to see the character come to life. If you're sitting there, I can tell when they're running the lines through their heads, because you can see it. It's like they're reading an imaginary piece of paper. And it's like, stop. You know what happens in the scene. Just act the scene. I want you to act the scene, not act the dialogue.
Absolutely.
I think the only time that the dialogue needs to be word perfect is when you're doing Shakespeare. And I could even be wrong there.
Well, could Jim Carrey deliver Shakespeare? And the answer is, oh, no, I don't think so. But would you go and see him delivering Shakespeare? And you go, absolutely, I want to see what it's like. And
even though I don't like Jim Carrey, but anyway.
Well, that was the best example I could use.
But look, he could probably do Shakespeare if he tried.
I think a good example is the new Aladdin, I think it was, and Will Smith was the new genie, and he
was the
replaced
genie.
Robin Williams. And when you watched it, the first thing he said is, "I'm not Robin Williams. I'm doing the Will Smith version of it." And I must say, I quite enjoyed the performance and the outcome of it. I was a bit skeptical at first, but at the end, it wasn't the original, but they never claimed it would be. But I sort of understand what you're saying with that, and how you make it your own instead of trying to be somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it comes down to the individual qualities of the performer and the character, their version of the character. Think of it like this: if you think of maybe Rebel Wilson, if you think of, or Jim Carrey or Robin Williams, if they just stood there and read the yellow pages, oh, that's aging me. There is no such thing as the yellow pages.
What are yellow pages?
But if they read something as dry as a shopping list, it would be interesting. It would be entertaining. It would be engaging. And it's not whether they get the list right or not, but it's about their individuality.
That's right.
And that's what I'd try and sort of empower all sort of starting out actors to do, to have faith in their ability to create something that's engaging and individual.
Yeah. Now, while we're talking about presentations and things like that, show reels. Now, I've always been of the opinion that a show reel should be about 3 minutes long and have your best stuff in the first minute. Do you agree?
No.
Well, that's a whole different discussion.
Now, this is we could speak for another hour.
Whole new window there.
We regard that format,
The
3
old
minutes.
school.
Yeah, we regard that as a history reel.
Mm-hmm.
That's like sort of a band's greatest hit. But because the thing is, I think it should be. We think it should be like a trailer for a movie. A trailer for a movie runs about 60 seconds and has little bits, little grabs, little moments, little snippets.
All you're trying to do is make the casting director remember you. That's all you're trying to do in your show reel.
Yeah.
Look at me, remember me for when you want to cast whatever the film is or series is.
Because the thing now is, Brenton, is the fact that sort of, we don't look at the reel to find out if you can act. We look at the reel to find out whether we want to ask you to self-tape for something.
Yeah.
So it's about delivering your individuality and showing us, answering the question of where you can be cast. So if you were kind of, a guy that's kind of big and fat and got no teeth and all that kind of thing, we don't need to see 3 minutes of work to know where to audition you.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's a visual messaging. It's a kind of it's an engagement. As I say, with movie trailers, it's like it's a turn of the head. It's a smile. It's a kind of it's a cheeky smile. It's a cheeky smirk, and that speaks volumes about the type of person, the type of character that is in the movie.
Yeah.
And it also sort of shows because what is the kind of the goal of the trailer? To make you want to see more.
Well, that's
Whereas
right.
I believe if you show 3 minutes and it's kind of, I think by the end of it I'm going, you better be 3 minutes and 3 scenes with your best stuff at the start. Yeah, that's the old school, and absolutely that's the way a lot of people think. But we think the digital age is creating another way.
It is. But with the old school format, though, directors would only watch the first minute anyway, if that. And that's why I say always put your best stuff. If you've got to do a show reel, put your best stuff at the start.
Yeah. Look, in that thinking, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, I think we've been talking for over an hour now. So I want to thank you both for coming on the show today. And I know that, you both know that I put this magazine out as well every month. I haven't done it for a couple of months because there's been some family stuff going on that I've had to deal with. But I'd love to actually get you guys to submit an article sometime if you're interested.
Yeah, sure. We'll sort of find out. Yeah. We've got a stack of content. Let us know what sort of topic you'd like us to explore, and sort of, we'll have a look at what we've got in the archive. Will do. And I can see you're in pre-production at the moment too with something called The Enemy Is Coming, and you've just finished or post-production for Interceptor, so chookas for both of them. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Absolutely. No. There's it's an exciting time.
Yes, there's a lot happening.
It definitely is, and I hope you guys are surviving, because you're in lockdown at the moment, aren't you?
No.
Well, the state is, the city is.
The state is, but we're regional. So
Oh, okay. All right, you're one of the lucky few.
Yeah.
we are the lucky few.
Yeah. I was speaking to LA this morning, and they're all from the Disney office, casting office, and they haven't been into the office since March.
Wow.
But it shows the industry is continuing despite not being able to be face to face.
Well, that's right.
In person.
That's right. Like I said before, we're adapting to the situation. We can't do anything about the situation at the moment. That's something I believe will just take time. But we can do the right thing, wear masks and sanitize, check in everywhere, get immunized, whatever. But we need to adapt to the situation. If we want to keep working in this industry, you've got to adapt to the situation. You can't go and you can't go and network in a crowded room, so you have to do your social media stuff. You can't.
That's right. So you should be doing our course.
Exactly. So very quickly, give another plug to your course and explain how people get involved in this course and things like that. How's that sound?
Very simple. Just go to our website, the audition technique.
Basically, it's a 6-week course.
Yep.
There's 15 lessons across the 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Every week you are given a scene to tape, to self-tape, and then I give feedback. I watch your scene and I give you personal feedback because of the fact that I record it as an audio file just to sort of send to you. Therefore, I can tell you honestly, frankly, I'm not talking in front of anybody else, so it's a private communication between the two of us.
Yep.
And so, get ready to sort of, get some blunt objectivity.
And if you, Greg, as a director, if you came across a student who just stood out and wowed you and all that, you'd offer them a role if they fit the role, wouldn't you?
Well, I'd offer them an audition.
An audition, an audition, yeah.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll say to the students that sort of, I have a lot of belief in, I'll say to them, go off and sort of speak to the agents, approach a couple of agents and sort of say to the agent that I'm happy to vouch for you, so the agent can pick up the phone to me and talk about that actor. Yes, we talk about you behind your back. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And having been an actor and a director and so forth, which do you prefer? I mean, I myself, I love directing, but I also love acting. I don't do a lot of acting as such nowadays. I usually play cameo roles or small roles in productions or films now. But there have been times where I've been playing big roles. But it's I think I thrive on everything that a director has to go through, and as a fellow director, you'd know there's a lot of stresses involved. But I love keeping busy, and I love directing and so forth. Which do you prefer?
I prefer producing.
Producing?
I prefer producing because then you are able to go from the concept stage, from the absolute, the kind of the genesis of the idea, and now it developed in a certain way. I don't know if you know the film The Graduate.
Oh, definitely.
Apparently it was a drama until they started rehearsals and they realised they were dealing with a comedy, and it changed path, it changed direction during rehearsal, and it is that kind of if you like concept evolution that is kind of, yes, it's to do with the director, but it's especially to do with the producer.
Yeah.
And as for me, what would I prefer? I prefer casting because I love playing with actors.
Yeah.
Robyn and
so many times we were asked when we moved into casting, they said, actors would say, don't you miss acting? And I would say, no, because now I create every character.
Yeah. So, Robyn and Greg, thank you again for coming on today, and hopefully we can chat again sometime. Maybe next time we'll talk about show reels and things that would make up another hour.
It would indeed.
It would indeed.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you
Lovely
very
to talk,
much.
Brenton.
Thanks so much, Brenton.
Lovely to talk,
Thanks,
Matthew.
guys.
You too.
Nice
All right.
to both of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So that was Robyn Gibbes and Greg Apps, who now Greg's been involved in a lot of. They've both been involved since 1974. They were both in the class of 75 back in 1974. All sorts of things, like I said, Sunday Too Far Away, Homicide, Mad Dog Morgan, an old 70s TV series called Bluey, not to be confused with the cartoon of today. Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith, Chopper Squad, Young Doctors, Home, Hunting, Garage Days, heaps and heaps of shows and movies and so forth. And it was such a pleasure talking to both Greg and Robyn today. So we're going to go for another song, and we'll be back very shortly. This is Mr. Misopheles from the 1981 London cast of Cats.